we go. What up, Paleo? Willie Watts is in the house. Hey, Willie Watts. What's up, Blake? What up? What up?
Boy. Yo.
Woo! Here we go.
Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to Ken's Up. I'll tell you what. With Danny Collins, I'm Christopher Attardi. How y'all doing? Thanks for joining. Woo! What up, squad? Danny.
What's up, everybody?
All right, 10s on 10s. Let's kick it off, dog. I'll tell you what.
Tell you what. How's everyone doing tonight?
All right. Yo, if you guys are listening, drop a comment where you're from, where you're at, where you're representing. Thanks for joining. Should be pretty fun tonight. Basically, Danny, you want to tell the world what we're doing here? What's 10s on 10s? I'll tell you what. What is it?
So, Chris and I have known each other now for about 13 plus years, and we have a pretty extensive network of people around the globe that we've met in our travels, that we've worked with, that we've, done some crazy stuff with, whether it be surfing, snowboarding, biking, the music world, promotional stuff, marketing stuff. We've come across a lot of cool, unique people, and over the last few weeks, since everyone's been, stuck at home in quarantine, we reached out to some of these people that we know, some of these athletes, some of these artists, celebrities, and, we kind of ran it by them like, hey, we're going to be doing this thing. We want to interview you. We want to hear about your life. We want to hear, how you came to be. What are some of the hard points in your life? Some of the high points, some of the low points. What'd you learn? What'd you get out of it? How did it teach you hope, love, forgiveness? How did it teach you how to live? Stuff like that. So here we are. This is our first one. We're giving it a whirl. We're going to see how it goes. But from there, we'll be live streaming multiple times a week. Like I said, again, we have some pretty big names that are going to be on the show in the near future. People you've seen on TV, people you might have seen in concert, some artists you may like. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really unique. And you're going to hear some cool stuff. You're going to hear some crazy stuff. And you're going to hear some stuff that's going to inspire you to do better. And it's going to give you hope if you need help. And yeah, and that's pretty much where we're at. So tonight's pretty much us trying to solidify all that, bring it together, and just give it a pretty much a test run and see how it goes. So yeah. So Chris, why don't we jump into this right now?
With it, bro. Lay it on me. What do you got?
Tell everyone where you're from, man. Tell them where you're from. Tell us about yourself. I know all about you, but tell our viewers about you and stuff that you've been through in your life that's brought you to where you're at now. Because everybody who's listening right now and watching, Chris is by far one of the most unique, craziest characters I have ever met in my life. And he's one of the best people I've ever met. So,
love you,
Chris, lay it on us, bro.
Danny Collins, those words are spoken about you, my friend, but thank you for the introduction. For real, though, I was fucking born in Stony Brook Hospital, lived in Port Jeff Station for the first 2 years of my life, moved to Garden City with my mom and my dad, went through the whole privilege thing, like you guys all love to say, and played sports from baseball, soccer, hockey, lacrosse, football. I literally played it all, except for like golf and tennis. Other than that, I mean, I'm 29. Oh shit, I'm 30 now. Birthday like 2 weeks ago. I totally forgot. Yo, big 3-0. And then, man, I don't know. I just like to help people. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a fucking snowboarder. And that being said, I like to just build websites and to help people out to get to where the fuck they need to be in life. Pardon my friend, trying not to curse, but live, raw and uncut. What about you, bro? Why don't you tell the world a little bit about you? Because you think I'm interesting, but I by far think you're the most interesting person I've ever met. Like, that's why you and I are doing this show together. Like, gonna get some other dope ass special guests on here. But what about you? Where are you from? How old are you? What makes you tick?
So For those
Cheers.
of you who don't know, Danny Collins. I'm 32 years old, born and raised in Floral Park on Long Island, New York. I've had the privilege of living all over the United States. I've lived in New Mexico, Texas, Colorado, Utah, did a little bit of time in Alaska. The things that make me tick are pretty much sitting right here behind me: surfing, snowboarding. I used to play lacrosse, big swimmer. My comfort zone is easily outdoors in the mountains, in the ocean. And through all those sports, since I was doing them since a kid, I'm not the best at them, but that's what I like to do. That's where I find my therapy. That's where I find my sanctuary. And, through surfing, through snowboarding, through just going out there and putting myself out there, that's probably where I've learned the most stuff and the most experience that, I don't have it all. I don't have it all figured out, but I've definitely over the years learned some pretty hardcore stuff in the mix. And, I've worked in oil and gas. I've worked in commercial fishing. I worked in IT in Manhattan. I've worked in sales. I worked for Oakley for a while. I've done a ton of different things, So right now, currently studying software engineering. So yeah.
Craziness, bro. Crazy. Tell people a little bit about your time about going fishing in Alaska for a profession, or just that's gnarly.
What's up, Australia? We got some people in here from Australia right now. What's going on?
Yo, cat.
Here we go. Got D-Rock in the house.
And yo, if you guys are just joining, drop a comment which state you're in, because we got people all over the globe watching right now. Pretty cool. I mean, in and out. Yes, sir. But yo, Danny, tell the people a little bit about what it's like to be on a fucking boat, like a ship, in crazy gnarly water fishing. It's like what you see on TV. What is it like, bro?
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's hands down, probably one of the most intense things I've ever done. My first time out there as a greenhorn, as they say, when we were out there, we were fishing for salmon, and the salmon boats are regulation 32 feet. So you go out there with a crew of 4 or 5, depending on your boat, and some of the boats, some of the captains, they run pretty mellow. They run pretty safe. Other captains like mine, super well respected, we go hard all day for 50, 60 days on end. The only time we really saw and stepped on land was when we ran aground one time, and it was low tide, and that was like the only time in the first 3 or 4 weeks that I had to step foot on land, was to run the anchor out and drop the anchor in the sand, so when the tide came in, the boat wouldn't drift out to sea. But there's a lot of stuff that happens out there that a lot of people don't talk about, or a lot of people don't realize. People go missing all the time.
Yeah, I don't.
It's blood money. There's no way around it. But the people that are out there doing it, there are I have more respect for those people and those families up there than I have for a lot of people, because that is easily one of the most hardcore lifestyles I've ever, had the privilege to go into and experience. And I feel like I earned some respect when I was up there, earned a pretty good amount of money. But, you really learn how to thrive and work your ass off under sleep deprivation. And, some of the stuff I saw out there, the wildlife, the waves, the currents, the fish, the first 14 to 21 days, guaranteed, you or somebody else on your boat, guaranteed you're going to lose it. You're at you're kind of in a weird way at a floating jail cell. And all you have to do is your work, and you have to deal with your crazy thoughts that are going to go through your head. And no matter who you are, doesn't matter if you're Mr. Navy SEAL or if you're a 16-year-old kid who's just learning the business, no matter who you are, guaranteed 100,000%, you're going to lose it out there at one point or another. And it's just like life, bro. It's just like, it's all about how you react to it. And working out there taught me what it means to work hard, and how, how quickly things could, one wrong move and your whole crew's done. We had a guy fall asleep driving the boat, and he drove into one of the deadliest catch boats. And that was a nightmare, waking up to that at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was not good. So I'd say, it was definitely, like I said earlier, it was hardcore, it was very intense. But but surviving that and doing that, you know, and then coming back to like life in New York City unfazed, you know, like the hardest day in your office is a breeze compared to what you're going to see out at sea, you know?
Dude, I can imagine.
So,
imagine. That's crazy.
but, and you know, like, I know that you've seen your fair share of stuff too, because I know you like to send it on a snowboard. So what, you told me the story about one time that you knocked yourself into a coma. What the hell was that like?
Bro, all right. Cheers to this. If you guys want to hear one of the gnarliest stories I've ever lived through, it definitely changed my life. I can't remember. I think I was either a freshman in college, which I don't think. I might have still been in high school because, oh yeah, definitely. So, it's either junior or senior year. I was with a couple of kids. I took them snowboarding. They were 16. They didn't even have their permits yet. I believe, I'm not going to use their names. I'm in here, obviously. So you guys know who you are. That being said, I went to Mountain Creek, bro, because back in the day, Mountain Creek was the place. You know, they had the Mountain Lab, the Jib Lab. They had everything set up. They had the Grand Prix for the Super Pipe.
I was going to say the 2004 Grand Prix smacked my head pretty good.
Used to have Danny and the Dingo all the time running around. They're like, "Hey, Mike, how are you?" Like, yeah. Like, so I'm sitting there. I'm like, "Whoa, I'm learning how to send it." Like, I thought I was good on a board, and then you see these little 9-year-old kids throw like a backflip off a 6-foot kicker. You're like, "What? How did that happen?" Pretty short. Mountain Creek has, at the time, back in 2008, they had it's called like an all-natural jib park. So basically, every grind rail that they had in this park was made from a tree or trees. It was all wood. So as you can tell, a metal edge snowboard, if you don't go down that wood the right way, if you catch sideways or anything, you dig into that wood and your momentum and inertia keeps going with your legs.
Over.
Yeah, bro. So back in the day, it was a flat down rail, about 35, 40 feet long, I would say. And the trick I was doing was called a gap 270 front board. So what if you guys don't know what that means, it gets a little on you. Gap 270 front board is when you jump off over the flat part, you don't touch it at all, you spin almost a full 360, and then you land backwards on the rail going down. I had the trick.
Risky business. It's a risky move.
And bro, it was a risky move because I didn't realize the whole metal to wood ratio. So as I'm sliding this rail, I'm like, oh, nice, I could get a 270 off, which is like another spin off the rail. And dude, I started spinning before I popped, and my edge went kaboom right into the wood. And as it did that, this was back when I used to do tricks going like 50 miles an hour, not like, you know, like stationary. And
full send. Full send.
Yeah, full set, like Sandy McSenderson type stuff. So I guess like going so fast that when my snowboard dug into the wood, my body kept going, obviously, and I landed chest first on like a giant patch of ice on the landing. Thank God I missed the end of the rail. And dude, as soon as I hit the ground, I knew there was something wrong. I was like, bro, I broke a rib. Like, I couldn't breathe. I thought I punctured a lung. The kids I was with was like, oh, their reactions told me, holy shit, bro. They came flying over. You all right? I stood up. I was like, dude, I got to go. I got to go to first aid. I ride all the way down the mountain to first aid thinking I got a broken rib just so I can get some Advil, right? And
you see all the people commenting that yeah, Will Watts. Anybody smoking weed?
Oh, I didn't even see that. Get it. Thanks for saying what up. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Yo, if you guys
thank you everyone for coming in.
Story, but tell us where you're from and say what up. That being said, though,
dude,
so
you just logged it in.
Yeah, I finally get down.
You just log it in. Let us know where you're from.
Drop a state, drop a city. So first aid tells me legally they're not allowed to give me Advil. I need to go to a hospital, and they were like, "Bro, you did way more than break a rib. Like we punctured a lung. You're probably gonna have to stay in the hospital overnight." So me being naive, young, and ignorant, I'm like, "Dirty Jersey? I'm not staying in Jersey overnight in a hospital. I'm getting my ass home." So,
it's the worst hospital up there. That hospital sucks.
I know they don't care because they just take injuries all day.
Yeah.
So my smart ass back with my old school Buick that I had, like, you know, the old 1990 Buick, that shit that like you only see like 95-year-old people driving. That's what I was cruising around with year of high school. Swag. But the kids I was with, not one of them, bro, so they couldn't drive home from Jersey to Garden City. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. I got this. I was like, it's just a broken bone. So I'm driving all home. Dude, I made it 5 minutes from my house, dude. the last memory I have was looking at my buddy Ryan and just being like, yo, man, turn the turn the heat off. And he looks at me and he goes, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? You're dripping with sweat. You have every window open, AC cranking. Are you okay? That's the last thing I remember. I woke up apparently a couple days later in a hospital from a coma. So essentially what happened was I didn't break a rib or just break a rib. I broke 3 ribs, completely ripped my spleen in half where it was hanging from a thread, and I was internally bleeding, and one of those ribs pumped. Now, again, I'm driving home. I didn't know I was literally dead. So I'm driving. And I guess, like, thank God for this kid, Ryan, bro. He must have seen that I passed out right after he asked me the question behind the wheel of the car on the exit ramp of the Cross Island Parkway going to Jericho Turnpike. Right? That's literally 5 minutes from the house.
Yeah.
And thank God there's a red light at that intersection, because I'm not joking, dude. I must have passed out and dead weighted the gas pedal. And thank God I had an old Buick, because this kid threw my car into neutral while I was going 75 miles an hour and, like, just braced himself along with 2 kids in the back seat. Smashed into the car in front of us. Obviously, it was like a 6-car fucking accident. And I guess the way the story goes, from what I remember, what I was told, was that I putted what was left of the fucking driver's side window, like wasn't all the way down. Jumped out the window screaming the car was going to blow up because it was smoking, and sprinted back down the exit ramp towards the freeway, causing like another 14-car accident. Somehow I didn't get run over and killed. So, yeah, but I mean, the last thing I remember was like waking up and being like, Mom, I've seen the light. And she was like, what, are you on drugs? I was like, that's the first thing you say to me? I was like, what day is it? Like, so she tells me, like, I don't really remember that entirely. What I do remember is the out-of-body experience I had through that shit. It was gnarly, bro. It was like I met Jesus. I met my demons. I met all the bad things I ever did in my life. I met all the great things I ever did in my life. Like, when they say only God can judge me now, and this is if you're Catholic, whatever religion you believe in, it's true. It's all true. That's to you. I don't care. This is what I learned from my experience. But it was fucking gnarly, dude. Pardon my French again. Because literally it was like, dude, like, when they see your life flash before your eyes, it does. Like, every bad thing I'd ever done to life up until that point, every good thing I ever done, person I saw. And it was like, if I were to show you, like, try to like draw it out a little bit, there's a campfire, right? There's a little kid staring into this campfire with white and black flames playing, and like a little teddy bear suspended. There's a bush with a kid behind the bush, except all 3 of those beings, and I'm watching all of them. I could feel all their consciousnesses, but they were all paralyzed. This kid behind the bush is watching this kid on a log stare into this white and black flamed fire, and you could feel the kid's pain for his soul. I'm screaming to him, run, 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 run.
Yeah, nothing.
Like, whatever you picture an anxiety attack, that's what I thought my hell was going to be for all of eternity. Just a downward spiral of bad thoughts forever.
Yeah,
like,
let's talk about that.
Bro,
let's talk about those out of body experiences. I mean, I know you've had I've had a few.
They're gnarly.
Injury induced.
They're always injury.
Not entirely. Yeah, I'll never forget one of the first ones that I had. That was insane. You know, like, you've obviously had that dream where you're falling, right? You're falling backwards, and you feel like you're just continuously falling, right? The one that I had was that I was falling, and then I hit a point. And when I hit that point, everything around me kind of like, Joe Rogan talks about this. I'm not going to get into it in detail, but everything around me just blew out into a kaleidoscope. Gone. The people that were in the room with me at the time came across as energy. Now, I was completely, and to some people who are watching right now, this might sound a little ridiculous, but it's real. I was literally standing above my right shoulder, looking down on my body. And I was completely conscious outside of my body. However, my motor skills in my body were just like this, kind of just like, sitting in the chair, kind of not really moving. And then I'm looking at myself, or the energy that I was in. I'm looking at my hands. I was like, what is this? This is like, I was like this like glowing weird blue color.
Now, this is from an injury that had happened?
This was not from an injury. This was from a really, really, really fun night. And I went like this. And as soon as I went like that, I jumped right back into my body. I stood right up, like, boom. I look around the room. Everyone's like, yo, bro, you good? And I was like, what the hell was that? What just happened? And then the other guys, our buddy Kev, you know Kev. Kev was explaining to me what just happened. And I was like, okay, all right. All right. And then not long after that, I had a pretty wicked wipeout on a snowboard. And I smashed my head pretty good with a helmet on. And when I hit my head, I immediately went back to that place that I was in that I already identified with.
When was it?
This was back in 2009, I believe. Yes, Basha. Back in 2009. And then I had a wipeout, and it was pretty bad. It was actually at Creek. It was coming out of the terrain park. Yeah, it was coming out of the park. I overshot the landing. I overshot my spin. I landed flat. I landed on the nose. The nose took the spring of it and launched me forward. And I smacked my head so freaking hard that, again, this time I was sitting up even higher, and I saw myself face down in the snow, wiped that lights out, and I saw people coming around me, and I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, wow, this is beautiful. And then all of a sudden, yeah, I was wearing a helmet, dude.
Man,
I was wearing a helmet. And, you know, I always wear my helmet. I'm nuts about that because, I don't know, I like to ride fast. And as next thing I know, I snap back into my body, and I'm like, can barely move my arms. I'm like, what the fuck? Huh? What the hell just happened? And then all of a sudden, Ski Patrol's like, yo, you good, man? And I'm like, what? They're telling me, where are you? I was like, I have no clue where I'm at. 20 minutes later, I snap back into it, and I'm fine. But leaving and going to that point was, I don't want to even say it was scary. It wasn't scary. There was something about it. It was like an eerie piece to it, you know? And after seeing that, okay? After seeing that, and then after seeing that multiple times, and then going back into real life, into day-to-day life, into society, and interacting with people, and, you know, I grew up like in a religious family. We grew up in a religious town, grew up Roman Catholic. And after I experienced all that, I was like, wait a minute.
I don't know about all this.
Wait a minute. Something else going on here. Tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
And I remember that really, like, you know, pushed me into, like, really kind of, like, diving into the nitty-gritty of the spiritual thing. And since I've done that, and since I've been to that realm, dimension, whatever you want to call it, everything has just opened up and expanded. And the stuff that I've learned and experienced since then has been pretty unique and very, very cool. And for people who've never experienced, it's very difficult to talk to them about it because, as you know, Chris, like they have a tough time trying to fathom that, and they can't, nor do they want to because they can't understand what the hell it is you're talking about. But then you talk to other pro athletes or other really good athletes too, not necessarily pros, but people who are out there really, really working their sports. A lot of them have similar stories about them knocking themselves out or knocking themselves unconscious or out of their body or near death or this or that.
Yeah.
And then back to when I was in Alaska, we had one night where our motor went dead in the water. And the 3 hours that we were dead in the water, I straight up felt like I was out of my body. I was like, okay, what's going on here?
Nighttime or daytime?
This was at 3 o'clock in the morning. So at that time in Alaska, at 3 o'clock in the morning in July, you know, it's like 7:30 at night here in the summer. It's like a twilight. You know, the sun's not fully down. It's pretty trippy. You don't really have a full grasp on what's going on around you. You know, you have no idea that you've been awake for 18 hours just cranking away, working. And it's you know, after having those outer body experiences, again, that was what really taught me about life and, like, you know, how to like really appreciate things. And, like, since then it's been kind of difficult for me to do certain things because I can't take them as seriously as I used to, nor do I want to. I look at things and I'm like,
that's not me anymore. Like,
yeah,
you just,
you've
leveled up. Like, you literally have leveled up. I'm sorry it takes like a threatening injury to level up in life, but dude, my injury literally changed my whole life around. I looked at my mother dead in the eyes. I was like, Mom, I've seen the light. I was like, I'm never doing a bad thing to another person ever again. I'm like, I'm not even joking. I literally saw all my demons trying to kill me, what my eternity of hell would be like. And I woke up, like, what I thought to be God just goes, no, and a bright white light, and I wake up, and there I am looking at my mom in a hospital bed, like, as I'm fucking, like,
you found Jesus, boy.
Hell yeah, dog. Like, and like,
Tell you
it's
what.
people think it's nuts, but like, dude, I was telling this story one time to a kid from a solar company in BJ's, and apparently he's heard all about these kind of out-of-body experiences. He brings this shit up. It's part of his religion. I think he was, I don't
Was
want
it Will Watts with Harvest Solar? Was it him?
I think it was Sun Solar, to be honest. But, dude, this kid literally, like, verbalized my entire out-of-body experience to me as I started it, and he, like, finished my story to me. He was like, yeah, dude. He was like, this is common. He was like, the black and white flames, that's symbolic. He was like, whatever you took from that, take it. He was like, but I'm telling you right now, like, you better change. And I'm like, dude, I did change, like, WWJD. Yo, Jay, good! Perfect timing when I say WWJD. What up, Justin? That being said, though, dude, literally, like, that experience, like, spending 3 weeks in intensive care, having my friends having to come visit me, bro, I couldn't piss or shit. They put a catheter inside of me. Do you know what that is? If you don't, and you're an audience member right now, Google what a catheter is. I promise you, you don't want to see it, but you might be intrigued. Now, it was like that for 3 weeks. I had this dope Jamaican guy who would, like, literally let me smoke pens inside the room as long, like, he was my aide. And my boys and my friends would come on visiting hours, like, yo, like Tay and Billy and G, like, they all used to come, like, when it wasn't visiting time. They would sit there, they'd bring me movies and laptop stuff. So it was cool. I got to be with family, I got to be with friends, and, like, it literally reset my brain from being a degenerate person at the time to being a completely morally and righteous individual. Like, I literally took all my skills of sales, all my skills of sports, all my skills and love for helping people, and I encompassed them all into one thing. And then I was like, you know what? Like, bro, you got to be an entrepreneur. You have been your whole life. Like, dude, my brother, my sister, and I used to wake up every morning at 4 a.m. because we lived next to the train station in Stewart Manor, and we would sell coffee to people going onto the train to go to work in the morning before school when we were little kids.
Hold on.
Yeah, what's up?
Hold on. Stop right there for a second.
Hey, what up?
After this injury, isn't that what segued and led you into aspirations to save the world? Tell everybody about that, because that's pretty, I mean, you made some serious moves with that. People don't know about that.
I mean, most people don't, but it's all good. I appreciate you bringing it up. So yeah, man, aspirations to save the world. It's like kind of like what I was just saying, just to like piggyback off of it. Dude, it was like, I was like, bro, how do you right all the wrongs that you've done in your life? Like, you are karma fucked for life for all the bad. 14 to 21, I was a full-blown fucking kingpin, and I did a lot of fucked up, pardon my French, dying and being revived back to life and spending 3 weeks in a hospital will change your life after you meet Jesus and your demons, all right? And I'm not joking, because aspirations to save the world, I was like, dude, like, how do you solve world problems on a global scale and help people? Like, I didn't want to be famous, but, like, you know, like, I want people to know me. Like, I want people to know me for not who I was known for. I wanted to change my image, change my reputation. I've always wanted to live in California my whole life, so I basically did some research. I was like, yo, what's a big problem in the world? Homelessness. Like, we have a huge population of homelessness, not just in New York City, not just in San Diego, not just in Chicago, but in every state in the country. Yeah. So for A2STW,
Cali's bad.
Dude, Skid Row was like one of the saddest places I've ever been in my life. So like my boy Richie Banks, shout out to Richie Banks. If you guys ain't like following Richie Banks, go follow at Richie Banks, because dude, this kid's one of the gnarliest dudes I know too. But Richie Banks brings me to Skid Row one time. Like, this kid and his like fam, like, I guess like he shoots for America's Got Talent. So I guess somebody there was like, hey, here's 10 racks. I want you to buy some pizza and socks and like clothes and go to Skid Row and donate it. And it was pretty wild. That was a cool experience. But that was after I moved to Cali. But just to go back to A2STW, which is Aspirations to Save the World. I know it's a long business name. I'm learning. But basically, I took all my skills and encompassed it into one thing: to solve world problems. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, how can I solve like one problem, let alone two, with everything I'm good at? Because they say if you want to make a lot of money, stick to what you know and love. And I know and love sales and helping people and sports. So I figured I could get the ticket sales game against Ticketmaster, and I could give them some healthy competition because they monopolize the industry without creating their own sister corporation. Like, StubHub. And I said, you know what? I could sell tickets for a price that's cheaper than my competition's at a cause that's greater than my competition's. I got that from American Gangster. Shout out to Denzel. All right. So that being said, a price that's cheaper than the competition's at a cause that's greater. What was the cause? I was going to end starvation by selling tickets to professional sporting events, to ski resorts, and to musical concerts. And I was going to use the handling fee to buy meals from local small businesses in those venues areas at full shelf value. So I wasn't buying from Walmart. I was going to buy meals from mom and pop shops who I was contracted with for the entire season. So if you're a baseball team like the New York Yankees,
regionally, right? You were telling me it's regional, right? That's what you're going for.
So I'm trying to go macro global, but I figured the first.
Well, no, I know that, but I'm saying like the mom and pop shops. You were doing regional based on the location of the teams, right?
Exactly. So say if you're the New York, for example, in a perfect world, if on average they have 40,000 plus people show up at a game on average. So in a perfect world, if I wasn't competing against Ticketmaster and I was the sole proprietor of those 40,000 tickets to sell, what I would do is go to 40 different small businesses for the baseball season because it's 82 home games, and I would contract them for those 82 games. And every time I sold 1,000 tickets, I would buy 1,000 meals from that business. Now, say there was 39,500. Whoever the last contracted small business was, I'm sorry, you only get an order for 500 meals this time. But the point was, baseball had 82 home games. So if I could get one baseball team, I could scale it up and then move into every other sport.
Right.
So I'm looking at it like this. It would sustain local small business on a national, global scale, on a macro scale. It would feed people forever because there's over 134 million fans that attend events every single year on average, and that's excluding golf and bowling and like the weird sports. That's just soccer, baseball, hockey, and football, and NASCAR, of course, has the most fans of anybody. Yeah. And then importantly, what I did with 5% portion of that handling fee, I funneled it into a bank account that was pooled together by every single team I sold tickets for a season. And then that was to be donated to revamp the school district voted on by the people of America. So not only was I trying to end starvation, not only was I trying to sustain local small businesses on a global scale, I was also trying to revamp the educational system because there's too many schools in the country that don't have enough money to give their proper textbooks like athletic teams. And that was the game plan, bro. Save the world with the entertainment by selling tickets. World in a fucking nutshell. But I think it was way ahead of its time, especially after moving out to San Diego and seeing the homeless population there. Going up against Ticketmaster was really hard. They have exclusivity contracts with everybody. And
with everybody, yeah.
Yeah, and if they don't have an exclusivity contract with a certain team for a certain amount of time, the New York Mets, my favorite baseball team of all time, bro. They were the only team that like straight up was willing to give me a shot outside of the San Diego Padres, which is why I moved out to San Diego, because the Mets needed me to buy into a ticket sellers union. Minimum $250,000. I didn't have that startup capital. And legally, they were not allowed to tell me the name of the union I had to buy into. So now I'm sitting there. I'm like, well, I mean, San Diego's got the next biggest homeless population. I started reaching out to everybody on the front office of the San Diego Padres, and they gave me 5,000 tickets a game to sell. So, I mean, never did I sell 5,000. But, I mean, it was still pretty cool being able to go through the whole entrepreneurship because, more importantly, what that did for me, like going out to San Diego, it was gnarly because, like, I was originally registered as a 501(c). Now, for anybody out there who's trying to be an entrepreneur who's listening in, if you don't know what a 501(c) is, at least in the state of California, it's kind of like a B corporation. It's a charitable entity operating as a business. So, like, it's a profitable entity operating as a charity, which means I could literally, like, take donations and do all this stuff, but still make a profit legally. I had responsibilities to the public, and I had to stick to those. If I violated responsibility, I could go to jail. So it was gnarly. I went to a couple investors meetings, like angel investor meetings, and I tried to, like, get my idea off the ground. And this guy, Dana, again, I don't want to use last names and stuff, but Dana, shout out to you. He introduced me to this guy, Aaron, and the thing was gnarly, bro. They brought me to this thing, and it's called, it's like I don't want to, like, use everything. It's hard to, like, do this without the name, but basically it was 60 different entrepreneurs got a 60-second opportunity to pitch your idea in front of a board of 13 millionaires and billionaires. And they did it in two brackets, the first 30, the second 30. So it was an hour long. Each individual got 60 seconds to pitch their idea. And then at the end of each bracket, every single person in the audience would do a vote. And then from that vote, the two winners would go head to head with their pitch. You got 5 minutes to pitch your idea now to the investors. And whoever won got whichever investors wanted to invest into their company. So it was gnarly because Dana, bro, like Dana literally, he ran the entire San Diego State law program. This guy was top dog of San Diego State law. He pulls me aside afterwards. He's like, yo, I think your idea is world changing. I want to work with you. And I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, first things first. He's like, have you ever heard of Chuck's shoes? I mean, Tom's shoes. I'm like, no, I haven't. He's like, dude, you do not need to be a 501(c)(3). He was like, that is putting your ass on the line. He's like, I know you want to operate and do charitable work. He's like, but you could adopt Tom's shoes business model and re-register as an LLC. This way, God forbid you mess up, you don't have to go to jail for it. He was like, Tom's shoes, they sell a pair of shoes and then they donate a pair of shoes to somebody in need. It's the same thing what you can do. You could sell a ticket and then donate a meal. But you can be registered as an LLC. You could take more profits and you don't have as many legal responsibilities to the world, so you don't have to go to jail. God forbid you or one of your employees messes something up. Now, working out the logistics with all this, getting all the truck rentals, getting all the people to pick up from certain places and find food banks that were still taking food to donate. That was another game in and of itself, which was really cool because I learned how to do that. But the craziest thing that I took away from all of this was if you want something done right, 9 out of 10 times you got to do it yourself if you don't invest in it. So essentially, it was crazy. I paid over $30,000 to 3 separate web designers to try and design this A2STW website for me to be like Ticketmaster. And nobody could do it. So I hit the books at the library. I hit YouTube, and fuck, I learned how to build websites by myself. And that's like what put me where I am today, because that's what I help other people do now. Like if you're an entrepreneur or trying to get an idea off the ground and you don't have money and you see me on Instagram, I can't tell you how many DMs I get. Like, hey, bro, can you please help me? Can you teach me the stock market? Can you teach me how to build a website? I'm like, bro, I'll teach you everything I know. Let's go. Pay it forward, because that's what's good in this world, paying it forward. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't do shit to make money, bro. I did that growing up. And I know you're the same way. Like, we live our lives to be happy, because I'll tell you right now, what I learned after dying, the only goal in life is to be happy and to keep happy with no complaints, and to never feel sorry to anybody ever again, especially yourself. Like, I don't want to feel sorry to anyone, especially me. I fucking died. And especially with the stuff going on now. I mean, bro, you could go wake up tomorrow and be sick. Like, stay inside, everybody. Thank anyone you know that has any kind of health background, professional background, anything like that.
Yeah.
But on the real, like you've got one life to live. So be safe and be fucking happy, please. That's all I ask for you. That's great for you.
Happy. So, like, I don't mean to cut you off, but like what you just said right there, how interesting is that like, to think maybe 6-7 weeks ago, nurses were just nurses, doctors were just doctors, paramedics were just paramedics.
Now they're heroes. Now they're heroes.
Now they're heroes. Hold on. To me, those people have always been heroes, because they've always saved my ass. They've saved my friends' asses. They've pulled people out of cars. They've revived people. They keep people alive. They keep people's families together. But up until recently, I don't know, the world is idolizing people who weren't really making an imprint on their lives. Okay, like I'm going to touch on Kobe Bryant, for instance. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go towards Kobe Bryant. Like, household name, arguably one of the best basketball players / athletes that's ever lived, especially during our time. You know, he died a tragic death. There's no question. Died a tragic death. However,
I'm a grown man.
A lot of people. I mean, I was bummed. I was bummed the guy died. Don't get me wrong. And some people are not going to like hearing this right now, but you know, Kobe Bryant, his career didn't save your life, didn't save my life, didn't save anybody else's life. And yet you have, 50 million people around the United States like, oh my God, he's dead. Like, don't get me wrong. Tragic death. There's no freaking question about it. I'm not going to sit here and say that it wasn't. It's a tragedy, 100%. However, his career was entertainment, right? He wasn't a heart surgeon that brings back, 400, 500 people a year that still are able to go back to their families and stuff like that. Now all of a sudden we're going through this pandemic globally, worldwide, not just domestically. And now all of a sudden people are all right, Marco. People are taking it to a whole new level now. Now all of a sudden, the people who should have been idolized as heroes, who were taken for granted all along, now everyone's like, oh yeah, our heroes on the front line. they've always been on the front line. This is nothing new. This is what they do. This is their lifestyle. Because of them, they keep the whole world in circulation.
Because
And
people like
if we have any nurses and doctors or any first responders watching right now, I love you guys. Thank you for everything you do. I appreciate it. I try to help out you guys whenever I can, and I've pulled enough people out of the water or helped and assisted in multiple rescues of my own to know that when I reach my threshold on what I'm capable of doing, I'm turning and looking for y'all to pick up where I left off, or I'm looking to bring whoever's hurt or injured to y'all to help me finish the job, you know? So it's like, to me, that whole first response thing is a team, and that's the ultimate team that really should be getting more respect than they have been getting in the past. And hopefully, you know, and if we're going to be sitting here talking about COVID-19, I guess it's inevitable we have to, you know, but like right now, I really hope that everybody who's watching and everyone who sees this can somehow find some W's, some wins out of this whole COVID-19 thing. Like, I really hope that it takes everybody like in humanity to like take a second look, take a step back, use your social distancing, use your quarantine time, like figure your shit out, figure yourself out, like rehash your values, you know, like we need to all start loving each other more, and we all need to be more positive and, you know, not so materialistic about things, because as everyone's really starting to see up front, personally and profoundly, like
war starting.
It's all fragile. It's so fragile.
It's people inside. That's like, it is fragile and it's sad. And I agree with you entirely, bro. Like, it's just a matter of take the little W's you can right now, and that's something you should do your whole life. Like, any win you can get, take it, cherish it, look up to whoever you believe in, and say thank you. Like, no matter what. And on your worst day, if you wake up and you're having a miserable day, like, say you wake up and you're like catatonically sad for whatever reason, I don't know.
Go get a sweat in.
That's a day of gratitude, bro. That's it. You either go stretch and do some yoga because it always makes you feel better. You go for a 5-mile run because you get your endorphins going. And no matter what, on a sad, depressed day, you look up to the sky and you thank the universe or whatever supreme beings you believe in or anything, just for the things that are good in your life, dude. Like, you've got to be thankful on sad days because that's what'll make you happy. Be thankful for your family if your family's good to you. Be thankful for your friends if you've got a lot, or if you've got one best one. Be thankful for your solitude if you find solace in it. But more importantly, be thankful that you're alive. Be thankful that you can walk.
Yeah, be thankful for just waking up that day.
That's it, bro. Any day above ground is an amazing day for me. Like I said, when you meet Jesus, any day above ground is an amazing day for me. I don't care if it's inside or outside, if it's helping people or not. Like, it's just, you got to do the right thing no matter what, even when no one else is looking. Like, what's the definition of that right there? Tell me the word. When you do the right thing no matter when anyone else is looking. Fucking integrity, dude. Integrity. Get that shit. Pew! I'll tell you what. Integrity, son.
Yo, I was gonna say too, you know, like I've heard this before, and you probably know where I heard it from. I'm not gonna reference his name, but
I know who you're talking about. Let it rock. He knows who you're talking about. Go.
The journey's the reward, and you know, it took me 10, 12 years after first hearing that to let it like settle in and really figure out what it means.
The journey
and
is
like as of recently, I really was just like, damn. I looked back on everything because, like, just like everybody else, you know, I've had my dark times. I've had my seriously, really bad dark times, like really, really bad low depressions. And I'm not even gonna get into it because probably everybody would probably log off if I did. But you know, like looking back on that, all of that made me an extremely strong person. It helped me build resilience. It helped me build endurance. It helped me build stamina.
The word for you. You are the most extraordinary individual I know. Like, literally one of the most extraordinary individuals I know. The shit that you've overcome, like, people don't know that you were in the military. People don't know that you were a
Don't go. Whatever. Twisted. I was not active. I'm not gonna sit here in front.
I don't worry. You still went through training, bro. That's some gnarly shit. But at the same time, like you said, from being in the, like, yo, we started an events entertainment company together. Tell the people how we met. Zero Gravity Events Entertainment. Pearl
That's a
District.
great story, actually. That is a good story. What we're talking about, 2009, right? 2008, 2009?
It was 2012, I would assume, because that was
2012 is when everything took off.
Oh, yeah. So 2 years before that, from like getting the whole brands built up. You're right, yeah.
So I would say like end of 2009 was when you guys, Gary Gullo.
I was gonna say, gotta credit Gary Gullo Jr., Senzo, Martin Early, Kurt Kimmons, man. Like, dude, like the squad was in on that game.
Yeah, you boys opened up Pearl District. And Pearl District was
Gary bought a screen press, and we sat there, I'm not joking, every day for hours making emulsions and t-shirts, and it was like a sweatshop in Gary Gullo's basement, bro.
Yeah, and that was Pearl District. That was y'all's baby, your clothing company, right?
If you want to know why we named it Pearl District, Gary was the brains behind the operation, guys. Whenever you roll a perfect blunt in the state of New York, it's called a Pearl. So Pearl District, New York, that's what it was back in the day, baby. All right.
Amen. So, tell you what.
I'll tell you what. I'm just kidding. JDC, yo, Marcos Wanderlust, you know what's up, boy. JDC, yo, rally in the alley
one night. I get a call one night, and it's like 5 o'clock in the night. It's like 5 o'clock in, like, I don't know, January or February. It's a freezing cold night. And one of my good friends, James Ream, hits me up. He's like, yo, these guys from Pearl District, these Garden City guys, they're throwing a huge loft party in Brooklyn. We need speakers. The DJ bailed. Is there any way you could come at the last minute? And I was like, tonight? And he's like, yeah, tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
I was like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah, I'll make it happen. Cool. So I remember.
So, you know, Danny spins vinyls. Just, you know, Danny spins vinyls.
I break down my whole setup in the basement, pack everything up. I got 2 vinyl turntables, 4-track mixer, the laptop, lights, fog machine, the whole 9, whatever, stack of vinyls. And I stuffed the car up with my speakers and everything. I hightail it into Brooklyn. I get there like 20 minutes before the party's supposed to start. Quickly rig everything up. The band's playing. Then I started ripping it on vinyl. Like, I was so stoked to be playing in front of a loft, in a loft with a good group of people. There was good vibes. I would say it was probably about 100, 120 people there that night. It wasn't anything too crazy, but it was a solid crowd. Yeah, it was filled to the max. That room got hot as shit. And I remember playing, man, and you guys were like, you came up to me, Gary came up to me, like, you're the guy. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, you're the guy, man. Like, you're coming with us. We're going to keep playing. And I was like, all right, like, whatever. I turned to James Ream, been friends with him for years. I was like, bro, thank you so much for bringing me to this. This is amazing. From there, we went to, Pennsylvania. I went up to Rhode Island, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Miami, Atlanta.
Is there any way you can pull up a picture about Rally in the Alley if you can and show them how dope this party was that we threw? I don't know if
I can pull this up right now. I don't know if I can right now, but
keep telling us.
What happened was I was going down to Maryland frequently, down to Baltimore especially. I had a bunch of friends at Loyola and Towson and Maryland, mainly Loyola and Towson. And they used to have this thing down there called Craig's Fest. Now, Craig's Fest was at this bar, Craig's, huge open